Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Evan and this is Sense or Sense. And today I want to come to you and give you an update on my Zoetry Marigot Bay issues that I've been having with Hyatt as well as the actual hotel itself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on blast today a bit. I'm going to send this information out into social media as much as I can. I've been trying to get a hold of management and their concierge for the last several weeks, and I've had almost no response. I had a one-line response in there that I'll read to you guys, and nothing else. So this is after I had a pretty good send-off with them, and actually I'm just going to read you the email. I wouldn't normally do this, but I want to read you the email that I sent to Zoetry so that you guys can see exactly what my family went through over a 10-day period of time. And it's going to include good things. I'm not writing this email to insult everybody at the actual hotel, but I want to tell the managers there what was good and what was bad and what the reality of the situation is there. And I want to save travelers like you that are watching from going there and having the same issues that I did. So I hope this helps out someone out there. I would appreciate it if you guys like the video. Leave a comment. Tell me if you've had similar experiences at Zoetry. Tell me about your experiences at Zoetry. It seems to me like a lot of this stuff has been started since Mr. Lester Scott, and I'm going to go ahead and name him, the general manager of the hotel, has taken over around the end of 2024. So a lot of the reviews and a lot of everything prior to that seems like it was pretty good, but it was taken over by him around that time. And shortly before that, it was bought out by a private equity firm, which I find interesting, which supposedly invested a lot of money into the resort. And I'm not sure where all that money went, but I didn't see the additional money that was put in the resort. And I had a candid conversation with Mr. Scott directly about that, and he said that he thought a lot of that money was mishandled, misappropriated. Maybe, the issue is that Hyatt sold a large portion of the property to this private equity company and then just gave up on the property. I'm not entirely certain what's going on, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I'm going to send this email off to Hyatt Corporate this week after trying for multiple weeks to get a hold of any manager that I could or any concierge individual at the hotel directly at Zoetry. So what I'm going to do is this is pretty unusual for me. I'm going to actually read you the entire email. It's going to have good things and it's going to have bad things. And so here's what I'm going to read to you guys. This is the exact email that I wrote. Mr. Scott, I wanted to start off by saying that I could not have asked for a better send-off when leaving Zoetry Marigot Bay last week. It was quite a nice gesture to have a lot of the high-end managers provide some feedback and send us off in style. This type of service is indicative of what I expect from high-end resorts that I have personally experienced over the last 30 plus years. It reminded me of the Japanese send-off where everyone comes out of the restaurant or bar or hotel, bows, and sends you off with proper respect, like no other culture provides. Above and beyond, bravo. As I said, guys, they did some really nice things at the end, but that doesn't make up for all the 10-day problems that I had. And we had a conversation, Mr. Scott and I had a conversation about how he wanted me to write this email. He wanted to go over it with his management team, and then he'd get back to me. Well, here we are about a month later. So I'll continue on. As you know, I wish that our trip was full of fond memories like this above, and as you will see in the next 10 plus pages attached below, quite a few individuals provided us respect and service to our standards and even exceeded them at times, but there were way too many other overpromised and underdelivered moments as well. Through our discussions, it was clear you are a man that is well-traveled, have experienced many cultures and seen the best and worst in people from all over the world. I appreciated our face-to-face conversation and truly enjoyed the opportunity to provide feedback and criticism to your executive team. And as a bonus, you provided us a free steak dinner as a fabulous part of this reward. I appreciate that. Thank you. So again, I said I was pleasant at times. He was pleasant at times. He did provide us a free $300 steak dinner for talking to some of his other managers with him in a kind of sit-down setting. And I got positive feedback from a lot of the managers when I was there towards the very end of our stay. And again, I'll remind you that he wanted me to write this email. He wanted this feedback. He wanted this specific information. He wanted to respond to me, and he wanted to provide some additional compensation. So That's what's going on here. Mr. Scott, I appreciate your commitment to reading the following straight shooting email and take what you can to better your team. Personally understand what is going on behind the scenes and work to make the St. Lucian culture shine through in many positive ways going forward. The island is a gem, but we didn't get to experience it the way we remembered it from 10 years ago on our wedding anniversary trip. I appreciate your service to our country, the no BS discussions, and trust that you will have a very invigorating response to the following. So he's ex-military, American military, actually, interestingly enough. That's why I was mentioning that there. Okay, so here we go. Here's the nitty-gritty of the email. We arrived on Saturday, August 2nd at roughly 1 p.m. We waited until almost 2 p.m. for what was supposed to be an 11:30 pickup at the airport. Excuse me. We waited until almost 12 p.m. for what was supposed to be an 11:30 pickup at the airport. However, the driver was sent to our first resort that we had checked out of earlier this morning. No mention of pickup at that resort was ever given to us at the concierge at Zoetry. And in fact, the concierge confirmed at a later date that they were supposed to actually pick us up at the airport. So that was the first mistake of the trip. Next, Zoetry boasts a no check-in, check-out time policy, allowing customers to check in and out as they please. We arrived around 1 p.m. when we were supposed to arrive at 12:30, as mentioned above. The front desk quickly ran our credit card for the entire amount owed, which I have never done before when staying at a hotel before asking for my passport. We were told there was no welcome drinks available for us, and we were shuffled away in a golf cart to go down to the dock area for a snack. The individual that dropped us off said our butler would check in with us shortly. We arrived at the dock area and had a snack. When the butler didn't arrive for 30 minutes, we decided to have lunch at the Hurricane Hole instead of just a snack, one of their restaurants on property. Over the next roughly 60 minutes, there was no communication from the resort. Finally, I mentioned to the restaurant manager that I would like to see our butler and go to the room. It took an additional 30 minutes to have him show up. His name was Rochelle, and he came and met us, but not before he stopped to talk to two young ladies for over 10 minutes. Rochelle then comes up to us and tries to act as nothing was wrong has happened, and I got very upset with him. He tells us that our room was not ready. It had been almost 2 hours since our check-in time at this point, and no one had mentioned to us that our room had not been ready prior to this. The management was happy to take my money before the room was ready, though. I asked to have the manager discuss this with us, and she seemed very confused and finally said the resort was still cleaning our room, but she could take us to the room now at roughly 3:15 p.m. So that's the initial welcome to the resort, guys. Not very good so far. Later that evening, I ordered room service, and the order took over 2.5 hours to receive it. During our food disaster listed above, we had an issue with my son's mini fridge leaking water. A technician was called. My wife and I were enjoying a drink in the main area of the suite when we noticed the door closed to our son's room suddenly. I went to investigate and found that the technician had entered through the side door without knocking or announcing his presence. He was already working on the fridge without letting us know. I confronted him, and he didn't speak incredibly good English. He said something about allowing himself in, and it was fine. I told him absolutely not, and I asked him to leave. After a couple of minutes of arguing with my wife and I, he finally left. I immediately went to the front desk and reported the incident. The head of security, Norbert, for the night, took notes and said he would do whatever was necessary to make us feel safe. In addition, the front desk head for the night, Vanetta, helped take down information about the incident. Finally, it was made clear to our butler's front desk and management that we did not want anyone coming into our room unless it was prior authorized or an emergency, and we requested service and were present at the room in the time of the service. So again, this all happened in the first day that we were there, guys. So then I go on, I say, for the next several days, the following issues occurred. Consistently, there were no towels at the pool after around noon each day. At least 2 of these days, we could not get a towel at all between noon and closing of the pool at 6 p.m. We had ordered a steak salad, and the meat simply did not get cooked at all. It was delivered with less than a minute of grilling on the outside and was completely rare otherwise. Dinner for One of the nights was ordered well in advance and was to be delivered by 6:30. At 7:05, I reached out and found out that the order was still not ready. It finally arrived at 7:15. However, the 2 caprese salads we ordered did not come, and instead chicken salad came. In addition, my son's pizza had been ordered with just cheese, olives, and bell pepper, but came with all of that and black beans and corn as well. In addition, it was folded in on itself like a calzone to try to hide those toppings. If my son did not like the corn and beans, the entire pizza would have been left and not eaten. He would have gone without dinner that night, which would have been the second night he would have gone without dinner, because the first night, guys, he did not go to have dinner either because of the whole food issue, and he had to go to bed. So 2 of the first 4 nights that we were there, he didn't get to eat as much as he wanted to, or not at all. Dinner the next night was delivered at 6:45. It was not brought. It was ordered for 6:45, but was not brought until 7:05. Was completely missing the dessert we ordered until a second delivery at 7:20 came. So some of this is nitty-gritty stuff, guys. I'm telling you all this so you can understand this is a pattern that occurred over and over and over again. If this had happened 1 or 2 times in 10 days, I wouldn't even have mentioned it. All right. Then we're going to go on to something more important. There was an incident on the 7th of August at around 8:30 a.m. I went out to our plunge pool and found a dirty diaper floating around with a couple of dirty wipes in the pool. As the water had evaporated from several days of not being filled correctly, they floated out of the strainer and into the private plunge pool. It was clear that no one had properly checked the plunge pool before arrival, and the items were left from the previous occupants. We were later told that the water needed to be added and chlorine added at least every other day. We stayed 10 days and only had 2 instances in which the water or chlorine were added as well. Both my wife and I suffered stomach issues while there after sitting in the plunge pool the first 3 or 4 days before we realized this was in the strainer. We believe that this could have caused those issues, and guys, that's just gross. I mean, there's nothing else to describe that. Again, something I wanted to let you know about. Later on the same day, our room lost power for over 45 minutes, and I had to ask both the front desk, a cleaning lady, and several other people in order to get anybody to respond. There was no response from anybody for over 20 minutes regarding this issue. Later on the same day, we were supposed to go on a sunset cruise that was offered with our 10-day stay. We went down and waited around 4:45 p.m. for a 5 p.m. departure. We then walked down to the boat to find that every seat was taken, and my son was asked to sit on my lap before we took off. I told the boat captain I didn't feel comfortable with this, and I basically lost out on that cruise. So, going on, we were told to go and try the authentic St. Lucian buffet that night that we lost out on our cruise. We arrived to eat the buffet. It was some of the worst food that we had eaten thus far. There was no flavor on many of the items, including the chicken. The corn was soggy and gross. The mac and cheese tasted like plain noodles. The goat had no flavor and was full of bones. We proceeded to eat less than 1 plate of food between the 3 of us. We then placed an immediate order for dinner to our room service, which took an hour and 20 minutes. At this point, I asked to speak to the GM to discuss all these issues as we had been having because I felt like we were not getting a lot accomplished with the regular management over several days. I was told by our butler Neil he would attempt to get in contact with the GM the next day. So fast forward to the next day. This is now August 8th. After breakfast was delivered, Rochelle sent us a message that at 9:56 saying the following, quote, "Your request to speak to the general manager today is not possible as he has meetings scheduled for the day," end quote. This was less than 1 hour from when I actually met the GM, Mr. Scott, in the gym and had the opportunity to talk with him directly. Mr. Scott was very pleasant and immediately said he had time to discuss my issues. After a brief meeting, I mentioned to the butler, Rochelle, that I managed to talk with Mr. Scott and was going to discuss the issues we had so far. This occurred at roughly 11:16. By 12:08, I attempted to enter my room to find that both of my room keys had been deactivated. Coincidence or not, guys, I think the butler was pretty upset with me at this point, and I find it strange that my keys had been deactivated. I reached out and got replacement keys within an hour, but thought it was odd that I mentioned something about this with meeting with the GM and the executive team, and all of a sudden my keys stopped working. So again, the next day, on August 9th, between 5:30 and 6 p.m., our room was right across from the pool at the resort. My wife and I went down to the pool while my son stayed behind in the room to watch something on his iPad. We had visual contact on the room at all times. All the doors were locked, and we had told the hotel security that we did not want anyone to come into our room. After our unfortunate occurrence with the fridge technician a week earlier, this request was followed unless we requested service for an entire week until this night. Sometime between 5:30 and 6 p.m., our son had heard a knock on the door. Then, within a few seconds, the door was already opening. A man in a black shirt and black hat was standing in the doorway and was startled to see our son sitting right across from the entry in the sofa. The man asked if there was a reason why there was a bunch of bottles sitting on our table outside of our room. My son told him that they were left out there by us and that we were going to put them in the fridge when we got back in a few minutes. The man then closed the door and left. At around 6:05, when we had all of this going on, we were told about this from our son. Around 8:30 p.m., we had a meeting with our butler, Neil, who told us that the man was the mini fridge restocker and was thinking that the maid had left the bottles outside by accident. I inquired as to why the man was near our room, if he was doing his job, and why he had felt the need to use the master key to gain access to our room for something like this simply, when my son told him that we were planning on putting those in our fridge. He said he would have checked with him and the security about whether he had checked out or requested a restocking of our fridge before entering the room, and he didn't do so. So basically, the butler admitted that this individual just entered our room, didn't even request any information on whether he should enter our room. He apparently went around to the side, again, the side entrance. This is a two-bedroom suite. He went around to the side entrance where, it's not the main entrance. That's why my wife and I did not see him. We got our drinks. We were actually sitting at the bar watching the main entrance when all this went down. And we came back within about, 20 minutes of when this all went, 15, 20 minutes of when this all went down. And that's what happened. My wife and I made it very clear that we told security, again, to not have anybody enter our room without our authorization. We explained that this is for our safety and because our son had been so frightened twice by property workers for entering unexpectedly. Unfortunately, my wife and I had to miss several private rum tastings that were scheduled for us due to this incident. No one ever tried to reschedule this. This was a main issue for us. People trying to enter our room unexpectedly and unannounced was just not called for. It's a breach of our security. If you have an emergency situation, clearly, these were not emergency situations. Call us, text us. They had our number. Why can't you do either one of those things? Why can't you have the front desk call us? Why can't you have the individual that's in charge of our room service, who's our butler for the stay, contact us via email, via text message? I just don't get it, guys. The sunset on 8/10. So this is August 10th. The sunset cruise that was supposed to be from 5 to 7 did not leave until 5:30. We did not have the dock until we did not leave the dock until 5:40. It was supposed to leave between 5 and 5:30. We arrived back late. Issues with the dinner after our rescheduled cruise. I ordered dinner at 4:42 p.m. for delivery at 6:45. Some of our order was delivered at 7:15, but the remainder of the order did not come until 7:45. The dessert did not arrive until 8:35. So again, my son missed out on dessert because of his bedtime being at 8 o'clock. So this was a routine issue or a continuously ongoing issue. Incident shortly after noon on 8/11. I was sitting in my living room after I had taken a shower with a towel on, and the front door opens and a young man named Nathan is standing in shock. He says he is from pest control and supposed to treat the room, but he's also thought the room was vacant. I told him did he talk to anybody in management about us being here, and he said no. He then said I should have knocked and should have checked to see if anybody was inside. He then apologized and left immediately. I went and told management and the concierge Nothing was ever noted or addressed with regarding this incident before I left the resort. It was strange, again, that my key card stopped working as I came back from the gym shortly before my shower and the incident described above. I felt like it was too much of a coincidence that these keys kept stopped working, and less than an hour afterwards, someone was trying to either walk into my room or create problems for us. I think that the front desk accidentally checked us out a day early and sent the worker to our room. So here are our general observations about the resorts, good and bad, along with my opinion on other aspects that can use some help. No check-in or check-out time is advertised in the literature, but from the resort as well as online. My issue with this is the following. The concierge knew we were coming way back in March of 2025 and had arranged for a private transport for us to arrive at 12:30 the day that we arrived. Why would our room not be ready since there's no check-in time and the resort has known for months that we were going to be there? They told us they had multiples of the same type of room, so there's no excuse as to why they couldn't have had one of them ready, or let us know before we even left our previous resort that the room would not be ready on time. The two butlers, Sean and Neil, are real rock stars of this resort. So again, I'm going to tell it as it is. Sean is genuinely one of the most polite and customer-oriented individuals I have ever had the pleasure to be around. I saw him doing other people's jobs at numerous occasions, and I thought it was amazing. Neil is a hardworking individual that generally cares about each individual that he is serving. He is also smiling, greeting by name, asking how we are doing, if we needed anything else. He addressed our problems head on and did not make any excuses. This is the sign of a true leader. He should be a manager, not just a service individual. After our unfortunate incidents on arrival day, Neil was clearly shaken and that my son was frightened. I could see tears in his eyes as he was trying to calm us down. This is the kind of service I expected at this resort, and I got it from a couple of people, but everybody else just seemed not interested. Quite honestly, if it had not been for Sean and Neil and a few others listed below, our family would have checked out after a few days of being at Zoetry, especially with the difficulty to get any managers to come down and face and actually resolve the issues that we brought to their attention. Now for the other two butlers, Rochelle and Gimmel. These two were completely destroying your brand, creating more problems for upper-level management, rude, impolite, and make excuses at every turn of the workday, if you can call them really doing work. I have already documented my displeasure for Rochelle on the first day, and his demeanor and actions the entire time we interacted with our family was lackluster. While Sean and Neil were pleasant, friendly, and always smiling, in addition to announcing the presence on the resort as well as polite, saying, "Certainly, sir," and "Thank you, sir," Rochelle and Gimmel were none of that. Rochelle never once announced he was working actively as my butler. He responded to many of my requests simply as "noted" and nothing else. There were absolutely no pleasantries, no couth, no presence, no ambition, no expedience, no work ethic, and nothing of redeeming quality from Rochelle the entire time we were there for 10 days. He's a stain on your organization, in my opinion, and will fester into a cancer if not appropriately trained and reprimanded. Gimmel was only on duty 2 times during our entire stay and was not present at all during this time. It was like he was lurking in the background, but he just avoided all of his duties. He never once introduced himself individually to myself or my family. In fact, I do not even know what he looks like to this day. Is this what you would expect from an $800+ a night room? Again, guys, this is the truth. Mr. Mann and his consistent need for pleasing us was endearing at first, but became a bit overpowering after days of him continuously coming up to us and asking us all kinds of questions and talking to us in lengthy periods of time. It's not a fault, but it's not what I was expecting and a bit overwhelming at times. He gets special praise for taking us up an individual challenge to please us with some off-menu food. I can be very thankful for that, and he delivered on our final night with a fresh catch of the day, delivered 2 wonderful Caesar salads to our room on time for our last supper at the resort. In addition, I know that he had flown back to India during our trip. He was only gone for a little over 3 days to go to India and back. That is 110% dedication to his work. Allison behind the bar is a lifeblood of drink service. She lit us up every day. She was quick to offer a hug on a hard day. She too possesses the qualities of empathy, service, and above all. Allison M., our favorite server, was quick to always make sure she had drinks for us, food ordered from the pool area. She went above and beyond when we requested certain things on certain days. She always had a smile on her face, laughing at my horrible jokes, sweating and working hard. Sholar, the manager that worked the hardest for us, and it showed. Shalar seemed to be everywhere at all times. He would get towels, call my room, tell me something that was important that I needed to know, serve me drinks on a few occasions. He got me a cigar. He tried to help provide value-added services occasionally, etc., etc. Lawrence, the bartender, an all-around good guy, always made me exact drink of my choice. It was gold. He was a goal to see me smile every day. I wish he spent more time face-to-face with people. Highest regards to him. Albert, one of our rock-solid chefs, always cooked up a mean hamburger, fish and chips, and chicken sandwich every day. If it had not been for his great griddle work, we would not have eaten on some days, as our stomachs just wouldn't accept a lot of the other food. Rakeem, fitness, an all-around cool guy that came very deep conversations about life and the resort in the few days that I saw him. The face of your fitness program. Very buff, smiling, local, funny, and all-around good person. He and I enjoyed talking about life, family, politics, and other topics. He provided a calming discussion at times where I needed it. And last but not least, Ella, the concierge of all concierges. I stopped in to discuss problems, getting timing squared away. Most importantly, got to know her as a human. She told me about some of her St. Lucian life and some of the things that she does with her family. I discussed some things I did with my family. Being reminded to stay grounded and humbling yourself is the bedrock to living happy and healthy life. Ella provided a portion of this on my trip. And best regards to her. Then finally, the grounds of the resort are beautiful, but the constant noise associated with the lawn equipment before 6:30 a.m. every single morning waking me up was not very pleasant. The inconsistency with the plunge pool, both with how it worked, the heating and the jets and the maintenance, was appalling. As mentioned before, 2 days, we went multiple days without our plunge pool being serviced. The jets turned off and created problems. In addition, clearly the skimmers were not drained, and on and on and on. On a related note, both of us felt uneasy for at least half of our trip with our stomachs. We could not ever put a specific reason on this. Suspect many flies on glasses used at the pool bar might be it, or improper cleaning of the blender, or some other glasses at another bar possibly may be the issue. No matter what we tried for days, it continued on. We even gave up drinking everything with alcohol and resorted to making just drinking basically Coke out of a bottle or water out of a bottle, and we still had issues. So glaring omissions from the room include oven mitt or dish towels to be able to pull something from the oven. A roll of paper towels would have been nice. The number of plates and pans were odd. They were missing many different things. I appreciate your consideration, listening, responding to this long list of complaints, praises, and most importantly, my utter honest review about the resort. Guys, this was a disaster. Okay, I didn't even get into the nitty gritty of everything, but that was basically about 90% of the email I wrote to them. You can see that I was being honest, that there were some really good people at the resort. That's the only reason my wife and I stayed, but there were just non-stop issues with this resort. I won't even get into a lot of the other things that were just minor, but I can tell you this, do not go to this resort. This resort has major problems. Zoetry, I'm putting you on blast. You didn't respond to me. I sent you at least 3 different emails. I sent one to Mr. Lester Scott. I sent 2 to the concierge. I gave you multiple weeks to respond. Never got a single response. Love to have a response, but now I'm escalating this higher up to Hyatt directly. I've got a contact information for someone high at Hyatt, and I'm gonna just ask them for some points. So I'll let you guys know what goes on with that in the next couple of weeks. Until then, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all your support. Talk to you again soon. Thanks.